Hey everyone, welcome to my first YouTube video. I'm Lucas and I'm all about no-code development, automation, and AI. Today, we're diving into a fundamental aspect of any web app, which is the login and sign-up systems. And we are going to build these systems in bubble.io. I've designed the login and the sign-up page here in Figma for my new project, No Code Buffs, which will be a community-based platform for no-code developers, freelancers, and also entrepreneurs using no-code and that are looking to connect. So if you want to receive a notification when the platform launches, I'll leave a link down below so you can join the waitlist. So now let's get into Bubble. First thing that we have to do is to create the login and sign up pages that I have already created. And on the login page, what I want to do first is to set the container layout to column, which means that all the elements that we place here on this page will be stacked. You can also change the page title here on the appearance tab. So first, I want to place a group that's centered to the page. And I'll do that by setting the horizontal alignment to centered. I will uncheck fit width to content. I will set the max width to 450 pixels, and I will set the min height to 200 just so we have a little bit more space to work with here. So the first thing that I want to do for the login page is to have the logo on top. For this, I'm going to place an image here and I will upload my logo. I will click here, keep element aspect ratio fixed, and I will set the fixed width to 250. I think that's a good size. And I will horizontally align this to the center. So to my group here that I placed in the middle, I'll actually call this group login. I will apply some gap spacing between elements of 24 pixels, which means that all the elements that we insert into this group will be spaced 24 pixels in between. Right, so everything is going to be nicely spaced. The second thing that we want to build here is the login text with the complementary text, welcome black. Please enter your details. So let's go ahead and do this now. I'm going to place a couple of elements here in the page and I will select both elements and I will group these elements into column containers. I will remove the fit width to content and I'll actually place both of these elements to the center of the page by changing their horizontal alignment, and I will add some gap spacing in between them of 12 pixels. The text on top will be the sign up text, which will be size 36 and weight 600, and the text in the bottom will be size 16 and weight 400, and I can change the font color to gray. I've actually configured all my design variables on the styles tab, and you can do the same according to your styles. Now we can go ahead and start adding the input elements. So we're going to have email and we're also going to have a password. What we want to do now is to place a text and place an input element, and we can group these elements into a column container, remove the fit width to content, remove the fixed width from the input element, and apply some gap spacing between these elements of 6 pixels. My text here will be email, and I'll set the weight to 500. My input here will be named input email, and the content format will be email. Now we can go ahead and copy and paste this group, and we can change the text here to password. We can change the input name to input password, and we can set the content format to password. Now, what we want to do next is to create the remember account with a checkbox and a forgot password button. I'm not going to go into detail on how to set up the forgot password workflows, but if you're interested in this, I can create a new video on it, so please comment down below. I'm going to go ahead and place a group here in the bottom. I'm going to make it the last element, remove fit to width, and now we can go ahead and add this custom checkbox, which is a plugin that I've added. The plugin is called Switch, Toggle, and Checkbox, which gives us a nice looking custom element that I like to use. So I highly suggest using that plugin. And we can look for a custom checkbox and place it here inside our group. Now to configure this checkbox, initial value I'm going to set to yes. Tick color will be white. The background when the checkbox is checked will be my orange color. And when it's unchecked, I want the background to be white. And I also want the board color to be this gray, this light gray color that you see here. And both width and height will be 20 pixels. Now I want to add a new text to this group, remember account. And I'm going to group remember account with the checkbox inside a row container actually. So both elements are side by side. I want to remove the min height. And I also want to apply a column spacing of 8 pixels. I want to click on the checkbox and do make first. So the checkbox is all the way to the left. And now we have the remember account with the checkbox element. We can now go ahead and place a new text. I'm going to make this group here. Container layout is equal to row. So the elements are side by side. And the container alignment I'm going to set to space between, which is going to send each element to one side. This text here will be forgot password. It will have size 14. It will have weight 600, and it will have color orange. This group here, we can remove the min height. So we have these features here now. What I want to do next is to create a button so the user can click to sign in. I'm going to make this button the last element. I'm going to remove fit width to content. And I am going to do the label equals to, I'm going to set up the label to be sign in. This text here should actually be login, right? Okay, perfect. And now the last thing that we want to build here in this page before we start working on the workflows is the text here, don't have an account, sign up. This is going to let the user easily go to the sign up page if they will, for some reason, land on the login page and they don't have an account. They can simply click here to sign up and create their account. What we want to do here is to actually copy and paste this group, which I see has some similar elements. What I can do here is to look on the element 3 and remove this text from this group. And keep in mind, on some pages, you're going to have too many groups. It's impossible to name them all, but once you have the chance, you can go back and start renaming these groups. It looks more organized, but don't worry about renaming every group and every component on the page because there's always going to be too many groups. But just keep in mind that you have to rename the most important ones, like inputs, for example. That's going to allow us to reference these elements on the workflows later. So we've removed this text from the group. We can now actually delete the group with the checkbox. And we can click here on this group that has 2 texts. And we can set the container alignment to centered, which is going to center these texts. And we can do, we can apply some gap spacing between them of 8 pixels. Now this text should be, don't have an account, sign up. Great, so we've built all the design components here on the login page. So now let's go ahead and start creating the workflows. The first workflow we're going to add is to the sign in button. And we want to log the user in. So the email will be input email. That's why it's important to name the input so you're able to find it here. Input password. Stay logged in. I'm going to do yes. And remember the email. This is going to be our checkbox value, right? So the initial state of this checkbox will be checked. And the user can choose to uncheck this so we don't remember their account. So every time the user comes back to the application, they have to log in again. So the value here for remember the email will be an user input from this checkbox. And after we log the user in, we want to take them to a page inside our app In my case, will be community, for example. And the other workflow that we have to add here to this page is to the text sign up. So if the user clicks on sign up, we want to go to navigation, go to page, and take the user to the sign up page. So I believe we're ready on our login page. We have completed all the design elements here, and we have added the sign in workflow and the go to sign up page workflow, and they should be all working together. Now let's create our sign up page. For this, let me copy the group login and paste that into the sign up page. Let's make the sign up page first a container layout column, so that we're sure that when we paste this here, the elements are going to be stacked on top of each other. So if I paste this here, this is the login form. I can click here on the page and do a container alignment centered, which will center this group here on the page. I can change this name to group sign up. And I can change this text from login to sign up. Our sign up text is start your 30-day free trial. And let's take a look at the sign up input. So we have name, email, and password. And we can also add a password confirmation here if you want to. So let's keep the email, let's keep the password, and let's create a name. Let me move this input to the top. Let's do name. My input will be called input name, and the content format will be text. I have the same email, the same password, and I have an extra text here below the password. So what I'll do is delete this group, add a text to the password group, and paste my text here. I'm actually gonna change the color here, and I think this looks great. Now, the sign in button, we can change the label to sign up. And the text here in the bottom, we can change don't have an account to already have an account, then log in. So if the user lands here on sign up and they already have an account, we want to take them to the login page. So let's start with this workflow. If the user clicks on login, we want to go to navigation, go to page, and go to login. And now let's take a look at the sign up. So if the user clicks here on sign up, what we want to do is to go on account, sign the user up. Our email is going to be input email. Our password will be input password. Require confirmation password. If we want to have a confirmation password, we would have to check this. In fact, let me add this so I can show you how this works. Let me do password. This will be password confirmation. My input will be called input password confirmation. And this input here is still password confirmation, input password confirmation. So we want to add the confirmation on the sign up. So here we can find the input password confirmation value, and we can send an email to confirm. Remember the email, I'm going to be setting this to yes. And let me show you something as well. So here you've noticed that the text here in the bottom says must be at least 8 characters, and I'll show you how to configure this here inside Bubble. So if you go to settings and you go to general, you're going to see here this text, define a password policy. If you check this, you can define a password minimum length. So I'm going to do 8 like the text there. Require a number, require a capital letter, require non-alphabetical character. You can check this if you want to. And this is going to give more protection to your application, but just make sure that you let the users know what are their requirements, just so they don't create a password like 123 and the password actually needs to be 20 characters long and they don't actually know. So let's go back to the sign up workflow. After I sign the user up, I'm going to save their name as well. So what I want to do is to make changes to thing, current user, and I've actually haven't created any fields on my database. Sorry. So let me go to the data tab. Let me go to users, and I need to create a new field, which will be name, and it will be a text field. So now I can make changes to the user and set their name to input name. Keep in mind that when you sign the user up, it automatically creates a user here in our database, right? And so when I click here and do make changes to current user, is because on step 1, we have already created a user on our database and we have logged in the user as well. So now after the sign up, the user is logged in, and so I can just change their name. And after I do that, I can take the user to a page that I want, let's say community, for example, similarly to the login page, right? So now we have all the design elements of the sign up, and we have all the workflows from this page as well. So let's test our setup and see how this works. Let me do a preview and let me complete this form. Let me disable debugger mode. And now we can see here that everything is here in the middle. Let me do name Lucas, email lucas@gmail.com. The password, it will have to be a 8-character password. I'm not sure if they match, but I'm assuming they do. Okay, great. So I signed up and I was taken here to my page community. Now, if I go and check on the database on users, we can see here that the user has been created and I'm actually logged in as this user right now. So on my header, let me find this login button. I haven't actually set up the go to page on these buttons yet. So when I click login, I want to be taken to the login. When I click on sign up, I want to be taken to the sign up page. Now, if I come back here to the app, you're going to see that it refreshes because we've changed something. And now we can go to the login page. And I know I'm logged in, but we can try this again just to make sure that everything here is working. If I click on sign up, I'm going to be taken to the sign up page. If I click on login, I'm going to be taken to the login page. And now I can try to log in. And hopefully, if everything is set up correctly, we are going to be taken to the community page again. I want to remember my account. I can uncheck this if I want to, but I'll keep it checked. And then sign in. It's going to sign in the user again, even though the user was signed in, and I've been taken to the community again. So this way, we have a completely built login and sign up system that will allow the user to sign up and log in into our applications. Okay, so we've reached the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button below. And if you want to see more content about no-code development, Bubble.io, and automation, and turning your ideas into MVPs using Bubble.io, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon down below so you never miss an update. And I've got lots of exciting content coming your way. If you have any questions or need some help with your projects, drop a comment down below. I'd really love to hear from you. And again, if you want to be notified when no-code buffs launch, please enter the waitlist below. I'll leave the link there. And thank you again. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.